CultCast, the best hour-long Apple conversation you're going to hear all week long. I'm Leonard Caney. I'm your host today, and we have joining us Griffin Jones from Ohio. Hello, Griffin.
Good evening. Despite my best efforts, we have a lot of AI topics to talk about at the top of the show, so skip those chapters if you really want.
Right, that's the way to start the show. Skip the show, just go right to the end.
Yeah, I mean, get to the good stuff. iOS 26.1 beta 2.
Yeah, but don't forget to listen to the ad in the middle, though. So. All right, and then we also have Lewis Wallace. Hello, Lewis.
Hey, how's it going?
All right, not too bad. How hot and sweaty are you?
It's still quite humid in San Francisco. What is it? It's 60. It's only 64 degrees, but it feels like it's 75.
I know, I'm cooking here in this little tiny cubicle I'm in. Yeah, so we have a great show today. We have, despite what Griffin says. In fact, Griffin, what are you talking about? We've got some great stuff to talk about. In fact, one of the most interesting topics is the AI stuff. I mean, it's actually fascinating. The new Sora app, which I think is, it's once fascinating but also terrifying. I think the implications for it are like completely, these are societal changing technology. This is it's not just like some stupid dumb app. I think this is going to have serious implications for the entire, history of mankind. I think this is like impactful stuff. Very, very impactful. Anyway, we'll have some deeply insightful things to say about that, I'm sure, later on.
The insights are just deep.
Oh yeah, we're gonna blow the lid off it. What else are we going to talk about? The other one is OpenAI's iPhone killer. That's also fascinating. Actually, there's some pretty funny stuff in there as well, so we'll have a good laugh at that. How to set up call screening. Super important. Like, it's actually finally gotten good on the iPhone. They've some new tools in iOS 26 to help you screen calls and spam calls, and it's actually really good these days. But, there's a little bit of finesse and how to set the thing up. So Griffin's going to walk us through that. And then there's a reader question, which we have no idea to answer, but we'll tackle that when it comes. Let's talk about Sora. Lewis, why don't you give us a walkthrough about Sora and what's going on with Sora?
Yeah, so this arrived in the App Store a little over a week ago, soared right to #1 spot on the downloads. I guess it's version 2, Sora 2, OpenAI's next generation video and audio generation model that lets users create short videos from text or images. And oh my God, have you seen some of these videos? It's crazy.
Yeah.
Absolutely crazy.
The first one I saw, it looked real.
They do look real. That's what's so amazing and so terrifying.
Right.
Yeah, I've seen some stuff. It's like, wow, how in the world is anybody ever going to know anything is real ever again?
Well, that's the point. That's exactly the thing, isn't it? You will not be able to trust anything you see ever again, ever.
Not the least bit terrifying. Let's see. Interface is a lot like TikTok, so you can scroll through video after video, and that's all this app is. Social media that's nothing but AI videos. Luckily for all of our Apple people, it's an iPhone exclusive, just like Instagram was back in the day, so it's going to be super popular. Sorry, you Android people. It's really astonishing, but you basically say something like, I want a picture of a cat ice skating or a dog visiting a space station, and next thing you know, boom, there it is, and it's fast, and it's just... The results are astonishing. I mean, it's crazy. One of the posts I saw was something like, "Oh, remember how a year and a half ago this video of I can't remember what it was like, oh my God, so it was Will Smith eating spaghetti or something, right? How amazing that was back then. Well, I mean, that looks like some distorted, horrible nightmare. You look at like the stuff that's coming out now. It literally looks completely 100% real. I don't know how in the world. I mean, they put a watermark on there, but of course, people have already come up with ways to get around the watermark. It's a little.
Well, it's supposed to have a digital. I think they said actually in the file itself that has some kind of digital fingerprint that is harder to remove.
Well, I mean, I'm sure that most people looking at social media are going to dig into the code and look for the.
Yeah. Right. Exactly.
Oh my God! I was amazed. Like a demo I saw of somebody that just here's how you remove the Sora watermark, which it kind of bounces around the screen, right? So you'd think it'd be hard to get rid of, but apparently no, not hard at all. So one thing I've read, and I got to say, this is one of the kind of depressing aspects of this for people. Like, hey, here's the greatest app in the world, and it's like, oh, sorry, yeah, you can download the app, but you basically are just getting on a wait list because right now it's invite only. By the way, if anybody has the invites, we'd love to have them because we can't wait to rot our brains with AI. So anyway, that was one of the.
Well, I was reading, you have to be invited by another Sora user, so it's actually pretty easy to get into the system if as long as you know somebody who's already in. But people are sharing codes online on Reddit and stuff like that, so it's not too hard to get in.
Have you gotten one yet? Though I have not.
No, but I haven't even. I've been looking at the video. I've just been seeing the ones that have been posted to social media, and the first one I saw was one from iJustine,
right? Which
was like, it took me I didn't see the context for it, so I was watching this, and then there's a she immediately pops up a twin of herself, and all of it is AI. And I thought it was like, just look at what's going on here, and then of course it's all AI generated. But you can't. I haven't seen. I'm not an iJustine watcher, but I've seen enough of her videos to recognize her, and it is amazing. I mean, she just uploaded a picture of herself, I believe, and it created this avatar that looks and talks just like her, and I was like, this is just unbelievable. And of course, she's in all these kind of these completely impossible situations. She's judo wrestling an elephant, and it's photorealistic. It looks like it was actually filmed, like she actually really is wrestling an elephant. It's crazy stuff. Yeah. I was absolutely blown away by it, and of course, like you said, you can't trust anything you see anymore. I mean, who knows? I mean, people have been. There was a whole bunch of stuff with. People like and it can do all kinds of different video too. So like cell phone stuff, security cameras. It's absolutely insane.
Right. And I've seen a lot of like supposedly police. What are those things called? The cameras that the police wear. Body cams. Yeah, like there's tons of body. Like Pikachu getting pulled over by the cops and crap like that.
Right.
And one of the things we didn't really actually describe this. You're talking about how you create this. I think they call them cameos, right? You create a cameo of yourself, and you can share that with other people or not. You can choose to or not. And at least when iJustine made that first video, she's like, "Oh, I'm sharing this with everyone. We'll see what happens." But it sounded like it was easier to set up the cameo, which looks exactly like you, sounds exactly like you, everything else, easier than setting up Face ID on an iPhone. I mean, it sounded like literally you just like. Film yourself saying, what was it saying, like counting to 10 or something. It was something really like mundane and simple, and when you see it you would think that perhaps it took quite some time to come up with that, but it was just literally like, it seemed like it's just super fast.
Yeah, crazy stuff. And of course there's a lot of people complaining about IP, like you can conjure up all kinds of Disney characters, Marvel characters, all this intellectual property, from Hollywood, and it's been trained on TV shows and on movies apparently. So I think there was a little bit of an outcry. I don't know if anyone sued him yet. Has anyone sued him?
Well, what I've read, and again, I don't have an invite, so please send it immediately. What I've read is that they've actually imposed some guardrails that have made it difficult to even do anything. It's like the pendulum swung back the other way. Now it's like Apple's image playground, where like if you say anything at all that is a proper noun, nope, sorry, can't do it. But like I said, it's a little frustrating that I can't verify that for myself. I wish I could try this thing out because it just looks absolutely insane.
Yeah. Well, next week, I mean, if we get invites this week, maybe we can conjure up cameos of ourselves, and we won't have to do the podcast next week. We can just do it through Sora. I wouldn't mind doing that. It's like I don't know, kind of terrifying. The fidelity, the realism of these things, and like you said, I mean, like in a year's time, it's absolutely crazy the difference in quality. Some of the stuff all the ones I've seen, I couldn't tell if it was AI generated. Like that, with images, like from Midjourney or Grok, they have that kind of weird AI sheen. You can that era is definitely joined a close, isn't it? Where AI stuff looks like AI generated stuff. Now it's indistinguishable from reality.
7-finger giveaway.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Scary times. Well, anyway, talking about.
I have a few thoughts.
Yeah.
I'll just open by saying, if you enjoy this, I mean, good for you. I mean, the thing is, nobody's making you do this. Like everybody who's consuming Sora stuff is actively seeking it out. Like, you know, downloading it, getting an invite code, creating an account. Everybody watching these videos clearly wants to do this. And, you know, if you want to do that, good for you, whatever, do whatever you want with your time. But in the same vein, I am allowed to judge you. If you post AI videos on any social media platform that I'm on, I'm going to mute you because you're embarrassing and I don't respect you. The only people I talk to in real life find all this AI slop garbage embarrassing and they don't want to watch it. The only people I've found who actually enjoy or want to see it are people who have no artistic or creative talent. So
That's awfully highfalutin there, Griffin.
Right.
it's garbage. It's garbage. If you're there is no creativity. This is not art. This is just garbage. Creativity requires creation. There's more to art than just the product. Artists create art. Content creators manufacture content. And that's all this is. This is all this ever will be. When I look at these garbage videos, it's just nothing. Peter Griffin eating dinner with Wednesday Addams. It means nothing, and it says nothing. It is not art. So when I see it, I don't see anything. There's nothing there. All I see is the heat that a server is using to generate it, the gallons of water that is being wasted, the environment being ruined in the cities where these are being pumped out. It's embarrassing. And if you post this, I lose respect for you. Oh no, liberal getting triggered. Oh, are you so mad? I'm gonna post more AI art to trigger you. First of all, grow the fuck up. You're like 8 years old if you're reacting like that. Second of all, I'm not mad. I'm just losing respect for you if you watch this or enjoy it or create it. So I have not downloaded Sora and I have no plans to.
I think, you know, right now those criticisms are true, but it's obviously, you know, so I think what will happen, what we'll see is that people, kids in their bedroom will be able to create Hollywood quality movies or without any of the.
Sure, good for them if they want to do that. I don't have any interest in watching them.
Well, I think we're going to see. I think that's just inevitable. I think that's going to be, that's going to be totally true. There are going to be amazing things made with this, whether you like it or not.
Okay.
I think that is. I'm also worried. I mean, I'm worried about like looking on. There's already enough misinformation in the world right now, and you can see what it's doing to societies around the world. And this is going to accelerate that for sure. I mean, people already believe some crazy, crazy stuff, and if you start to back it up with video evidence, it's just going to get worse. I think there's going to be, I think we're going to see some really bad stuff.
Yeah, I mean, the solution to that is the same as it always has been, because people have always been able to fake photographs, fake, stories, before the age of photographs. Like it's not a new problem, although the scale is certainly new. I mean, it just means that we need to go back to trusting verified news sources, which, and classic journalism, people who have researched facts, people who know things, people who can find the truth and report on it originally. But, we've already given up on that. So it's the same problem that we've always had.
The mistrust of the media has never been higher. I mean, like half the country rejects the mainstream media. They think that they're, it's fake news. I think that's I think there's some people who are receptive to that, but I think there's a lot of people who aren't. Trusted sources and so on and so forth. Like they don't trust them. They don't trust scientists. RFK doesn't trust scientists. I don't know. It's scary. It's worrying. But it's also it is kind of exciting, I think, in a way. I understand your point of view. I'm trying to take a more optimistic one. I'm not entirely convinced I'm not even entirely convinced myself that I believe what I'm saying.
I mean, if people can watch it if they want to. I just have no interest in it. And if you post any of it, I'm going to block you.
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah. Well, I think it's going to be. I think it's.
You have fun rolling in garbage and eating styrofoam instead of real food. Good for you.
I don't think you're going to be able to avoid it. To be honest,
okay.
I think it's. It's here to stay. I hate to say that, and it's going to be more and more prevalent than ever.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to get political, but that people aren't critical, are they? They have no idea how the media works.
Mm-hmm.
People have no media literacy at all.
Mm-hmm.
They have no fucking clue about checking, reading different things. Like I read a lot, and so like I look at the Daily Mail almost every day, even though I hate it. I fucking hate it, but I kind of tend to look at it because I want to. Well, because I want to see what's going on in the right wing, media sphere.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't like it, but you know what I mean? It's like, it gives you some, well, I don't know. Do I get a realistic view? I'm not sure. All right. So on that note, let's talk about what is going on with Johnny Ive and his attempts to create an iPhone killer. So as you probably know, he's Johnny Ive, the ex-Apple designer, has teamed up with Sam Altman of OpenAI to create this AI device.
They're best friends now. Johnny Ive's new best friend.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. And there's that creepy picture of them.
Oh,
I
so
keep seeing
creepy.
everywhere. But apparently they're struggling. Big surprise. There was a report in the Financial Times saying that they have 3 major challenges remaining to try and get this thing working. And the first one's super funny. So, quote, one issue is ensuring the device only chimes in when useful, preventing from talking too much, or not knowing when to finish the conversation, says the report. That doesn't sound annoying at all.
It doesn't know when to shut up. Yeah.
Yeah, so the company's AI devices are intended to run constantly, sending video and audio to OpenAI servers and processing. That's going to put a considerable drain on those servers. And the company keeps struggles to meet computing demand from users posing questions and requests to ChatGPT and Sora, and its server costs are in the billions of dollars annually, so it's not sure how to ramp that up even more.
Wow.
The third problem bedeviling the development of OpenAI's device is related to the second one. A device that's constantly watching and listening to its user and sending that data to the servers presents enormous privacy concerns.
Really?
Yeah, I know. Surprise, surprise. So, to be clear, OpenAI has no solutions to these problems yet, according to the Financial Times. And according to no one knows what the device is going to look like. It's closely held secret. When announcing the product, Altman specifically noted the device won't be a phone or glasses. According to the new Financial Times article, it will be both portable and be able to sit on a desk. And no one knows about its price or release date. So, yeah, I mean, there was another one this week, last week, Friend, right, that just got released. It's kind of a necklace that hangs over your, that dangles down. I'm a little, I don't know, I don't know what to think of this.
Just three teeny tiny little bugs they need to work out. The fact that it'll cost an enormous amount of money, they're not really sure how they'll make money on it, and the enormous cost it'll cost to run the service. And they also don't know what it'll look like, or how much it'll cost, or when it'll come out, or whether it'll be useful or not. But
Right.
iPhone killer in the making.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of companies are starting to do this kind of stuff, but it's like, what is the point, really? I mean, who needs it? Who needs their entire life cataloged? And I mean, I don't know.
Well, it's the context, isn't it? It's supposed to, to understand what you were up to, what you said, what someone said. It is both creepy and interesting.
I don't know, unnecessary. I don't know. It just seems bizarre.
And they say, oh, it's not a phone, but they do want it to do everything that a phone does, but without and the question is, well, is it going to have a screen or not? If they go without a screen, then you basically just reinvented the humane AI pin, and we all know how that went. And if it does have a screen, then you're just reinventing a phone, except more complicated, and doesn't have a good business model.
Humane tried to pitched it and built it as a replacement for your phone. So it had its own number. It didn't interact with your phone at all. This one is going to be a companion. So I think, first of all, that is, and this is obviously from, Johnny Ive's lessons from everything from the iPod to the Apple Watch. They've created these companion devices that are like satellites around your main device. And so that's the first, I think, major design decision that shows that it's going to be a little more successful, because there's no way that they're going to, it's going to take off if it's a replacement of your phone. In fact, the phone's not going to go anywhere, I don't think, for decades. It's just too successful. It's like a laptop or a desktop.
The ultimate problem at the core of that is that all of these startup companies couldn't build, companion to your phone if they wanted to. The only company that can build a first-party companion to your phone that helps your phone but doesn't replace it is Apple, and they make the Apple Watch. Apple doesn't allow any other, so far, doesn't have any API that people can use to make like another second assistant helper device that works alongside your phone in tandem with it. But thanks to the regulations in the European Union, I think people are, I can't remember exactly where I read this, but Apple is working on new APIs that will allow for third-party device manufacturers to build sort of companion devices as well. The problem with Humane is that they had to build their product a few years too early before this was an option to them. So they had to pitch their device as a phone competitor because they didn't have any other choice. Maybe OpenAI, in the years that it'll actually take to make this thing, will be able to work around that fact.
Do you need APIs? Why can't you just have an app? I mean, wouldn't an app just be...
No, because an app can't actually like read your incoming text like an Apple Watch can. It can't place phone calls like an Apple Watch can. It can't do any of the other things. Like the extent to it is that there's like some obscure Bluetooth protocol where it can show you the notifications that come in, which is what the Pebble watches did, like, years and years ago. But that's kind of limited too. Like, it can't respond to text. It can only show you what they say. It can't like get into all of the useful data in the way that you would want an AI device to be able to do, if that is something you wanted. But maybe that's something that in the years that it'll take to actually make this thing, OpenAI will be able to take advantage of.
Yeah. And that'll be Apple opening the door to the device that might supplant it. So, that's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. I think it's kind of interesting. I think, like these devices, they got back, don't they? There was another attempt before. There's actually an app, a Mac app, right, that does this kind of thing, that looks at, they're supposed to record every single moment of your life, and it'll tell you what someone said in a meeting, and, act as your sort of external brain, your external memory. I think, there's interesting ideas here. We'll see how it shakes out. I wouldn't be opposed to a device like this if it had some privacy protections.
The only company you can really trust to do that is Apple, really.
I think, Johnny Ive maybe, doesn't he? I think he probably has enough Apple DNA to be cognizant of this. At least I hope.
Yeah, but, they spent billions of dollars to get Johnny Ive to make these decisions. But, then you're trusting, well, how much, but still at the core, like, it's like, how much do you trust OpenAI? Do you trust them to, take Johnny's product making decisions over Sam Altman's, who is the actual CEO of the company?
And this is going to be the ultimate spying device, isn't it? It's going to spy on every single thing you do, say, think.
Well,
it's and of course the computing things. Like I was reading about these new, some of the new data centers that they're building. This is the big problem, isn't it? That the amount of compute that involved. That this is what Sam Altman was saying. That the limiting factor is the compute factor, isn't it? The amount of compute that they can throw at the and
you mean throw at waste, taking everything you say and do, hey, honey, did you get the mail? Instantly transmitted to a server. I mean, it's a little bit insane. I mean, like, I don't understand. I mean, obviously, I don't work there. I don't know what exactly they got in mind. But everything I've read about this, I don't understand how it's any different from something like a HomePod, except that it's portable, or something like your phone, except that it's always listening. I don't see how. I don't understand what the actual function of this thing is beyond answering questions that you ask for. Is it like it's going to proactively answer questions that you haven't, been able to like formulate yet? Is that what it is? Like, oh, Lewis, you do much better. Changing your spark plugs in this, change this one first. I mean, I don't understand how it's supposed to. Like, what?
There are two potential solutions to this. Apple's solution is, your phone already has all of the data. It doesn't need to listen to everything you say to be able to know these things. You don't have, when you ask, oh, what time does my mom's flight land? It doesn't need to search through every conversation you've ever had with your mom. It'll just read through your text conversations and your email. So it doesn't need to listen to every single conversation you've ever had. And, the problem that I have with these types of devices is that, sure, I don't have to buy one if I don't want one, and I don't plan on buying one. But that doesn't stop my friend from buying one, and then I can't consent to that. If anybody I ever know has one of these things, it doesn't matter that I don't buy one, because all my conversations with that person are going to be scraped and sent to these AI servers. Like,
I just don't understand what the point is. Like, I've got this amazing AI device in my house, and Griffin shows up, and it's like, oh, hi, Griffin, and it instantly, oh, Griffin's here. Griffin likes to have the temperature set to 72 degrees in his house, not 68 like you have it. So instantly your heat turns up. I mean, I just don't understand what kind of problem this is going to solve.
It's throwing AI at a problem that's already been solved. Your iPhone already knows the people who you are around,
right.
And that's how features like AirDrop work. Like,
well, yeah, and if
the point
they
is to burn a bunch of investor money and say that you're creating all these products, like OpenAI spending money to NVIDIA, that's investing money back in them, that's money that's being invested by Microsoft, that's spending money. Like, are any of these companies actually like writing checks to each other, or just saying that they're doing things and raising imaginary money that's all just going to, like, when is money actually going to be made here in any part of this process?
I saw a pretty funny graphic, of all the interconnections between them all, like with NVIDIA now investing in all these different, and AMD and Intel and all those others are all involved now. They're all investing in each other.
NVIDIA is
It's
the
a
only
total
company
crazy circle
actually
jerk.
getting checks from people that are being cashed and, contributing to a profit somewhere. Like 5 years from now, all of these VCs are going to start asking the question of, okay, but when are you going to start making money though?
5 years, 5
none
months.
of these companies are making money, and who knows what'll happen.
You can
then, but
make
I'm looking
money
forward
right
to
now.
it.
Just sell before it pops.
Well, one thing, I think it's unfair to judge this before it's come out,
Well, sure.
which we're doing a little bit. I mean, the one interesting thing about Johnny Ive and his design philosophy, which kind of goes, do you remember Jeff Hawkins, the Palm Pilot? This is probably way before your time, Griffin.
The Palm Pilot.
Was an old,
Oh, yeah.
the first PDA. So Hawkins was the inventor of this, and he made one, a dummy one, out of a piece of wood, and he carried around for a year. Using it, pretending to use it before, to help in his design process. And this is, I think, Johnny Ive's also design philosophy, design process. They live with these things behind the scenes, and they tend to work out the use cases before they release them. So, it's the opposite of, I think, what a lot of technology companies do, which I think maybe Humane did, which is they have the technology and they cobble it together, and they come out, they put out a product before they've even worked out what it can do. And I think this is the opposite of what Johnny Ive and his team are going to be doing. I think they'll work out what you can do. They work backwards. I mean,
the story is that Humane actually did have a product. They were originally going to make like a women's health product until the two founders were speaking to their spiritual guru, and they said, no, you need to make something else instead. And so then they just completely pivoted the company into a disaster. And now here Imran Chowdhury is selling HP laptops. So
well, the funny is that Imran has, he's a thoughtful guy. He's no idiot, but and he I don't know, I can't remember. It's 20 or 30 years at Apple, and he started on the Mac and was one of the major developers of the iPhone, the Apple Watch, and a whole bunch of other things as well. So he has the Apple DNA in him too. So it was surprising to see them fumble it so bad. I have some confidence that Johnny Ive will at least try to be thoughtful about what this thing is going to be good for before he releases it.
I'm sure it's going to be designed very well. That's all I can say.
The use
about
case
it,
too. I think the use cases as well. Anyway, I think we hashed that to death. Let's talk about the new changes in iOS 26 beta, iOS 26.1 beta 2. There's actually a couple of interesting things in here.
Oh yes, welcome back, all the listeners who have skipped the first part of the show. Now the real show starts. iOS 26.1 beta 2 updates the alarm interface on the iPhone lock screen. This is one of the more controversial changes in iOS 26. Beyond all the liquid glass stuff, they changed the alarm interface on the iPhone to just be two gigantic buttons when alarm goes off. Snooze or stop. And before, the sort of design was that snooze was a big button. It's really easy to hit if you're a little sleepy. The stop button is really small and kind of hard to see, so that it forces you to make sure you're awake before you can tap that stop button. But now it has an interface that's clearly looks a little bit copied from the Apple Watch, widget SwiftUI type interface, where it's just the big two buttons. And people are complaining that it's too easy to stop your alarm, even if you're not paying attention. Well, now what they've done is they've turned the stop button into sort of a slide to unlock slider. So you have to slide it over to stop your alarm.
I think that sounds cool.
Yeah. Which is solving a problem that they engineered for themselves. The Alan Dye story. But the big news comes on the iPad. I'll start with a little one first. In the iPad menu bar for the new freeform windowing, inside the application menu, when you have the menu bar, there's new commands for hide and hide others. So that's now a command you can do on the iPad, or you can hit Command H or Option Command H to hide the current application or hide everything else on the screen to let you focus a little more.
Those are definitely, I use that on the Mac a lot. That's definitely a useful
Oh
thing
yeah,
to have.
I use hide more than I use minimize, really. Just Command H to hide things, because the great thing is that you can just click on the application icon in the dock to bring all the windows back instantly at once. You don't have to go through unminimizing them one by one. So great tip. Also in the file menu, there's a new option to close all windows if you hold down the option key on the iPad. So, that's handy. But the big one comes also to the new multitasking interface. They've brought back slide over from before. This was the one unfortunate side effect of them throwing out their old split view multitasking interface, that slide over was gone. And, slide over let you have a window that floated on top of everything else, no matter if a different app was the active one. It would stay there. iOS 26.1 brings back slide over in a slightly tweaked form. You can now keep one app floating on the side, and this is an option that's available. If you tap the green button on your iPad, you'll see a new option, enter slide over. You can throw an app floating on the left side. But unlike the old slide over, it doesn't have its own complicated app switcher. Any app can just be moved to slide over, and you can only have one app at a time there. It doesn't have its own convoluted system of switching the app in slide over. Any app can be in slide over. And it's also no longer limited to be a really tall, skinny window. You can resize a window. You can have a slide over window that's like giant and square and taking up 2/3 of the screen if you want to. So that's back, and that's a great option for everybody who missed that feature. Honestly, the most surprising part is that slide over came back only 1 month after iPadOS 26 was released. I think a lot of people were expecting, I guess we'll just have to wait until iPadOS 27. But nope, here it is back. So maybe they're planning on bringing it in all along.
There must have been a lot of complaints about it. I saw a lot of people cheering that it was back. There's been a little bit positive reaction. Although, like you said, they were complaining that you didn't have the app switcher built in any longer.
Did anybody really know how that worked anyways? I don't see that as being a loss.
I have no idea. I have no idea how to use it. All right, so there's actually some pretty meaningful tweaks, isn't it, in this beta?
And hopefully the Mac will get its round of cleaning up fixes. I saw Stephen Troughton-Smith saying that a lot of his bug reports that he had been filing all summer are getting taken down one by one on macOS Tahoe. So maybe they'll turn their attention back there again, because macOS Tahoe is still kind of a mess. But
God, I still haven't downloaded that.
Don't.
Yeah, that's what I keep hearing. And you guys have been on the iOS beta train forever, right? I mean, so you're probably a little bit, I don't know, used to it. But I swear to God, I have never had so much problem with a new iPhone as I have with this iPhone 17 Pro and iOS 26. And I really can't put my finger on it. But so many things, like I tap them and they don't work, or I go to tap it and I can't tap it because it's covered by something. I don't really know. I mean, it happens with Apple apps and Safari. It seems like it might be like a third-party problem, it might.
It sounds to me like I think you need to do a fresh install. I think that's at least give that a try before you give up on it. And it's a pain, but I think it's worth it. I mean, that solves a lot of problems. I think I think if I saw quite a few people saying that as well. That if you import from your old phone, it creates all kinds of headaches. Not the least of which it has the wrong name. But
I mean, there are so many things that are unpolished. Like, look what happens when you try doing Type to Siri sideways. That's not a useful interface for everybody. The keyboard is incredibly broken and squished. The type bar is floating over 2/3 of the screen with a giant gap in the middle for no reason. There's a lot of it is very broken still.
There's a lot of stuff. I go to take a screenshot. It's 50-50. Will it work? Sometimes I try 10 times, and on the 11th time it works. Basic functionality.
Yesterday when I was doing an article, I was trying to take a screen recording from my iPhone plugged in over USB, using QuickTime, and I was struggling with this for an hour. I'm not kidding, an hour, because QuickTime just randomly froze, and I had to reboot my computer several times. Then when I finally was able to capture screen recording, the MOV file wouldn't play in any video player that I had for another hour or so. It's rough out there.
Yeah, that sounds frustrating for sure. All right, let's talk about our sponsor today. Thank you very much to Factor for sponsoring the CultCast this week. Lewis, why don't you tell us about Factor?
Oh, my God. If you're busy like I am, this is Oktoberfest season. There's just so many Oktoberfest gigs, things like that. Back to school, whatever it is. We're all busy. Everybody's too dang busy, right? So oftentimes, you end up finding yourself going out to eat, or because you don't have time to cook. Well, Factor is a fantastic option where you can get basically restaurant quality, and I mean good restaurant quality food, delivered to your house, and it's ready in 5 minutes. Boom, you're done. You microwave it really quickly, and it's delicious and done. Lately, they've added even more options. GLP-1 friendly meals and Mediterranean diet options. Which, by the way, the Mediterranean diet, what a great way to go, right? And they have so many delicious steaks, amazingly good seafood, which I think is kind of shocking considering these things are delivered to your house fresh. Toss them in the microwave, and man, you pull them out, and you're like, wow, this salmon is perfectly cooked. It's juicy and delicious. It's not dried out, which, I mean, salmon's not that hard to make on your own. I know some people might struggle with it.
It is for me.
I've
crucified every piece of salmon I ever cooked.
I've heard so many horror stories, but you will be amazed at how good a nice big salmon fillet tastes with some delicious sauce.
Oh, God, stop it! You're making me hungry.
Oh my God, it's fantastic, and it couldn't be faster. I mean, there's no way you could, in any world, come up with a meal as fast as these things. They usually take like 4 or 5 minutes to heat up. If that sounds good to you, eat smart at factormeals.com/CultCast50 off and use code CultCast50 off to get 50% off your first box plus free breakfast for 1 year. That's crazy. That's code,
what the heck?
code CultCast50 off at factormeals.com for 50% off your first box plus free breakfast for 1 year. Get delicious, ready-to-eat meals delivered with Factor. This offer is only valid for new Factor customers with code and qualifying auto-renewing subscription purchase.
All right, well, thanks, Factor, for doing that. My God, I'm so hungry now. All right, so the next one is screening calls. So this is something that I'm personally excited about because I hate taking phone calls, I hate talking on the phone. It's actually finally gotten good. iOS 26 has got some new tool, right, Griffin?
Oh, yes. You can now block and screen all of the calls from unknown numbers and live the life that I live of peaceful Zen. So to do this, all you just have to do is go to Settings, and then you scroll all the way down to Apps, and then you scroll all the way through all your apps, and then you hit Phone. And then you scroll all the way past the phone settings, and then you'll get to a section called like Screen Unknown Callers, this section. And you have 3 different options. So Never lets every phone call come in, just like the bad old days. Silence will send every unknown call straight to voicemail. That's my personal favorite because you just don't get any calls from unknown numbers. But then there's a new option in iOS 26 called Ask Reason for Calling. Your phone basically picks up the phone for you. So you're never interrupted. You get like a little black notification on your lock screen that something is happening, but your phone picks it up automatically for you, doesn't like interrupt you. And then the robot will like ask the person the reason why they're calling, their name and the purpose for the call. And usually that's enough to just, instantly get all of these calls like immediately hung up. I get a lot of notifications of like someone's calling you and then 5 seconds later they're gone. And that's all it takes. Just having a robot pick up the phone for you and be like, hey, why are you calling? Is enough to make a lot of scammers just like dip out immediately. It's really funny. And that's great. If it is an actual human who's trying to get your attention, they'll, say, oh, I'm calling because, the example Apple gives is, oh, there's somebody delivering flowers downstairs and they just need you to let them in. And oh, sure, I'll pick up that. It'll show you the reason. You can answer the call if you want to. And that's great. There's another smart feature. This isn't new, but it's called live voicemail. That's kind of similar, where it's like, if somebody who is in your contacts tries to call you and you don't want to talk right now, there's a button where you can tap send to voicemail. And, when they start calling you, it's now in iOS 26, it's a little hidden behind a more button. You have to tap more and then you tap the voicemail button. And this works kind of in the same way where then the other person will start talking and you can see a transcription of what they're saying, and then you still have the option to answer the call mid-voicemail. And this is also great. I use this a lot.
Me too.
Ask Reason for Calling is basically that, except it does it all the time. So that's what I highly recommend doing. After they leave their message, if your phone decides it's important, it'll come through as a regular call. Great features, both of these.
I was watching the Rockford Files the other day. I love that show, but and he has it's all about the telephone, isn't it? At the beginning, they leave a message on his voicemail, but he had a landline, and he in one scene he picks up the phone, and I'm like, well, what is he doing? Is he mad? he's answering the phone without knowing who's calling. Mm-hmm. It's such a huge change. Yeah, I hate the phone. I cannot stand to talk on the phone. I cannot people ringing me up. I can't stand the phone ringing. These are all perfect for me.
Yeah, and so I set mine, to never call me basically, and when you're using your phone, like when your phone is unlocked and you're using it, you'll see a little voicemail icon up in the status bar that'll tell you, oh, someone's leaving a voicemail. You can tap this button if you want to see it as it's happening. But it just makes me smile every time because it's like every time I see that, I know somebody wasn't able to interrupt me. And if you really do want to seek these out, like if you think you might have missed something, if they actually do leave a voicemail, you'll see that in the phone app. But then you can also go to you can tap the filter button in the upper right of the phone app and tap unknown callers. And you can see like that number is like in the hundreds for me, like 300 unknown calls that haven't been able to reach me. And it just, brings me an incredible amount of joy.
I got a question for you. How do you actually talk on the phone these days? How do
I talk on the phone?
Well, how do you hold it? Because I've noticed that now.
Italian style.
Everybody holds it like this these days with the speaker on, right? In the street, in public, everywhere.
Yelling.
Nobody goes like that. Everyone talks like this these days. Everybody.
Holding it out.
And I do it too.
For the audio listeners, Leander is holding his phone in front of his face.
Like a piece of
like
pizza.
He's about to eat a sandwich. No, I'm old enough to like still have the amount of shame of talking in public around other people. So I hold it up as close to my face, as close as I can, have the volume cranked out as quiet, but like pointing like directly into my ear canal so that nobody else has to hear what other people are saying. And then I scurry to a corner of the room where nobody is and try to talk as quietly as possible and get the whole ordeal over with as fast as I can.
The whole ordeal, that's right.
Every time my phone rings, I am scrambling to jam in an AirPod if I don't already have one in. Because that to me is the ultimate way to take a call. And then, of course,
as soon as you put an AirPod in your ear, it automatically picks up the call.
Then, of course, you end up with the you're walking down the street talking to yourself, looking crazy, but still way better than trying to hear. I don't know. I don't hear that great on the phone to my ear, but I definitely hate the phone on a hand platter in front of your face, yelling at the top of your lungs. It's like, oh my God, what are these people up to?
Do these people have no shame? Do they just want everybody else to know what they're talking about?
It is super that. You're seeing it in San Francisco, huh? I see it all the time in Europe, in Italy. It's just insane.
Yeah, in the street, I walk to work every day and I see it, people walking down the street talking like that. I don't see anyone talking, that seems to be the default method now that everyone uses. At least, in my opinion. All right, let's move on. Let's talk about the setup. This week's setup this is crazy. I don't believe this. This person's got a MacBook Air and it caused him to upgrade his whole setup. So if you can't see this picture, what we're looking at is a nice desk here with a big screen.
It's a pretty basic, first setup. So it's like a nice clean desk. It's all white, basic white walls of clearly, rented apartment or dorm or something like that. Pretty tidy for being a school age person, but if they've got a dark blue, I think like the dark blue MacBook Air on a little stand, 27-inch LG display. For being a 27-inch display, unfortunately, it's only 4K, not 5K, which is the correct resolution at that size, in my opinion. But they're doing the best they can. They've got a little MagSafe sort of mount on top of the display for hooking up an iPhone for continuity camera, which is a good thing to do.
Sorry, and an iPad on the right hand side, and then they've got a Liverpool FC scarf hanging up on the left. So I'm guessing this.
They have a PS4 controller which is what I do as well for Mac gaming. PS4 controllers are excellent. They're super cheap and they do everything you'd need to do on a Mac, really.
Yeah.
Well, here's the unbelievable part. This person got an M4 MacBook Air with 32 gigabytes of RAM, 32 gigabytes, and AirPods Pro 3 for $58.
What?
That's what it says.
How can that be?
Is that a typo? Or
I think maybe they got the AirPods Pro 3 for $58. I don't know about the MacBook Air, but it must have been like one of those, special like auction sites where, they're auctioning something off and sometimes you can get in with a low bid and take home something impressive for a cheap price, but usually you don't. Maybe they got lucky. I don't know how they got their computer, but
really lucky, because I mean that's at least $2,000, if not $2,500 worth of gear. Anyway, he's instantly, and it came from a PC, so he's instantly hooked, and I'm even using Apple Music now, which feels like a throwback to my iPod Touch days.
it says they tried the Magic Keyboard and Magic Mouse, but
Guess what?
those devices were disappointing. So then they just switched to the Logitech MX Keys S keyboard and the MX Master 3S. You can tell it's a PC user because they didn't even try using the Magic Trackpad, which is clearly the best thing that you can do.
No way. MX. So just to be clear, they got a student deal in the MacBook Air, and then they paid €50 to get the AirPods Pro 3. I'm guessing it was one of those deals where you buy a MacBook and they'll give you AirPods, but you say, and rather than regular AirPods, I'm going to bump up to the AirPods Pro. So that's what happened.
Good move.
Yeah, I mean, if they got the whole thing for 58, it's time to like fly to Europe and get that deal yourself.
Right, yeah, it'd be worth it, wouldn't it? Just the airfare. So then he said he's got an iPad there on the right. He said he got a cheap 9th generation iPad. It's just his entry into the tablet world, and now I'm fully convinced, he said, and I can't wait to get an Apple Watch next.
And he took the picture with an iPhone 15 Pro Max, so he's
Do you remember
straight into the deep end.
I used to work with a guy back at Wired.com when I was the Apple reporter there, and every single day, I used to get made fun of by one of our old colleagues, Dave Kravitz. He used to delight in like ribbing me. Oh, what's Steve Jobs up to today? Oh, did you see Steve Jobs said this and that and the other? So anyway, he gets an iPod for Christmas, and the next thing you know, and of course he loves it so much. Now he's hanging out at the Apple store. Then he gets a MacBook, and then he's fully in, and then he becomes the most craziest Apple cult fanatic you've ever met in your life. It was like the overnight switch, and it was like, oh my God, this is definitely Cult of Mac at work here, because he became, and then became a dedicated reader of the Cult of Mac website. So he was checking it all day, every day, and he said, I love your website, man. You know, why? Because he learned how to use his Apple devices. He said that was an education for him. So. Yeah, it was pretty funny. That was a really stark example of somebody who got all in on the Apple.
The iPod Halo effect, it worked on him. That was the mythical thing.
Yeah.
Lander, there's one question about the setup that I need to get your opinion on. I wonder if you can identify what I'm going to ask. He has a scarf hanging from a bookshelf that identifies Liverpool FC, the football club. Does that make you happy or irritated?
Oh, I could care less.
Okay. Back in your hometown in England, would a Liverpool scarf get you a free beer, or would it get you punched in the face?
In London, I don't know how it would go down. It would probably go down fine. I don't think there's as much hooliganism. I haven't been back at the UK for a long time, but the hooliganism used to be crazy. The last time I went to see a football game, we were lined up to get our tickets, and the people in front of us, suddenly someone came running up and cold cocked this guy right in front of us, knocked him on the ground. All hell broke loose. Next thing you know, there's all these coppers on horses coming charging at us. It was like something out of Game of Thrones, and we just legged it.
Yeah.
Ran off and ran to the pub. So it used to be a really bad problem. I've heard it got a lot better now, but it's all super expensive. It's all stadium seating. All the stadiums have got upgraded. Like when we used to go, people used to pee in the terraces. It was like there would be cages like to separate the supporters. One time we went to see my brother's a Nottingham Forest fan. And we went to see him play Chelsea. We got put in the Chelsea section instead of the Nottingham Forest section, so he had to keep it really quiet. And that behind us was this guy he was like an animal. He was like jumping up on the cage and he was going like this, and he was like shaking the whole thing, and he was so amped up and so like trying to rile up the Nottingham Forest supporters. It was like, oh my God, this guy's like, we're just trying to keep as a low profile as possible in case his attention turned to us. So I don't know. Yeah.
So if somebody asked you like what football club you support, would you just say Nottingham Forest? Is that your like prepared answer to that question, or?
Well, I used to be a West Ham supporter, and in fact, that used to get me beaten up where I grew up in Telford, because they were a London team, and everyone hated West Ham. But I think it's a lot less partisan than it used to be. Football hooliganism used to be really like we've had a run-in with a whole bunch of football hooligans. When I was a teenager, I was a punk, and me and my best buddy, we went to see this concert in Wolverhampton one time. We went on the train station, and there's all these police everywhere. And we were like, look at the pigs, look at those, and we were like, F the police. And we were being very disparaging. But then this train pulls up, the doors open, and thousands of football hooligans come pouring out, and we were terrified because we were definitely going to get beaten up. They pick on punks. Luckily, the police came and formed a line between us and the hooligans, and we were like, "Thank God for the police!" Yeah, it was. They saved our bacon for sure. I think those days are gone, though. I think it's changed a lot. Like I said, I haven't been, but I've lived longer in the States now than I have in the UK, so I'm not totally up on it. But there was actually a really good. There's a really fascinating documentary about Millwall FC. They had it was called The Firm, the Hooligans, and they were really highly organised. They used to have like strike teams. They had generals who stood at the back who would direct the hooligan action. Then they had like strike teams. They had sort of troops. It was almost like militaristic the way they were organised, and the strike team would they would be the first ones who would go in and start the aggro, and then when all the others, when the opposing hooligans came rushing in, that's when they do a sort of pincer action, and then they'd circle them, and it was kind of crazy, and they would live for this. They like every week the whole point of going to a football game was to get to a huge fight, and the adrenaline and the excitement of it is totally addictive. But there's a fascinating documentary about Millwall FC. They were one of the most notorious, and I think it was called. I think it was called. Maybe the Intercity Firm. I can't forget what it was called, but I haven't seen this for years. Kind of terrifying to watch, but very, very fascinating. And in fact, Elijah Wood was in a movie I think about football hooligans. That was supposed to be kind of well received. But anyway, yeah, no, it's changed. Liverpool are okay. They used to be dominant when I was a kid. They were the dominant team. Not so much anymore. I think they're a bit further down. Both my brothers are football fanatics, though, and they'd be the ones to ask about football. I'm about the only English person who's indifferent to football. I'm a complete outcast of my own country. Anyway, let's move on. Let's talk about we've got a question now from Anth. Anth asked us a question in the Discord channel. What was his question, Griffin?
His question reads, years ago, I owned a Mac Mini server with macOS server. It was really good for home use, and I remember lusting after the rack mount servers. I think he's referring to the Xserve. Do you think there would ever be a chance of Apple returning to enterprise?
Well, I've got no clue. I haven't got a clue. What do you think, Liz? I don't think actually they will. No, I think that's pretty unlikely.
Absolutely not.
I think no, definitely not. No, they're a consumer-oriented
The whole thing
now.
about enterprise is that all these IT managers want to know what the future product is. They want to have a roadmap, and Apple has absolutely zero interest in sharing that with anybody. Now the roadmap is honestly kind of the most predictable it ever has been. They've been rolling out a new generation of M chip as close to annually as they can, but I don't think Apple has any. I mean, Anth, if you really want a rack mount product, buy the rack mounted Mac Pro. They still technically make that.
They one of the interesting things I think about the enterprise stuff is that there was a big rebellion, wasn't there, like a few years ago, that people they preferred MacBooks so much over the PCs that they were given, is that a lot of IT departments had to accommodate that. They had to change the way instead of forcing people to use what they wanted them to use, they started to accept that people would bring their own devices. Same with iPhones too. There was back when the iPhone started to take off, a lot of enterprise IT departments wouldn't support it, but then they were forced to because that was what people were using. That was the most interesting thing. I think that consumer devices, are enterprise devices now. They've that's been forced on them. That's
the most
interesting
Apple does in
change.
that regard is the personal device, multi-device management stuff, and Apple only does that because they have to do that themselves to manage their own employees. But Apple isn't going to go out of their way to create a special server farm product. I mean, they do make one themselves. They're making they have a special version of the Mac Studio that private cloud compute runs off of, but I don't think they have any interest in making that a product for anybody else to do other than themselves.
Yeah. It's not the only enterprise product they make these days, the Mac Pro, the rack-mounted Mac Pro.
Yeah, I think so.
It's funny. I mean, that used to be a big debate, wasn't it? Because when Microsoft were dominant, obviously they sold a lot of. They were dominant because they sold so many computers to businesses, and that was, I guess all the analysts thought that Apple should be competing in that same space, and so they made these enterprise pushes. They were never really that successful, were they?
Yeah, they dipped their toe. I mean, just for academic or historical reasons, I want to buy like a small rack and like buy an old Xserve G4 and maybe like an Xserve RAID, but only for historical purposes. I don't plan on running a home server off of it. I mean,
Historical. More Apple junk for your junk collection.
yeah. I mean, if you can still buy a Mac Mini and run it as a home server. I mean, Apple doesn't maintain macOS server anymore, but you can run a Jellyfin server for like, video streaming off of it. They make good products, but only incidentally, as just the fact that they're now getting pretty cheap to buy an M1 Mac Mini used on Facebook Marketplace and run stuff off of it. But Apple isn't going to maintain the enterprise market themselves anymore.
And a lot of people use those Mac Minis though, right, for that kind of server crowd. I mean, I don't even understand what enterprise computing is, to be quite honest. It might, I just instantly want to fall asleep. But I mean, we've written stories about people using like a whole bunch of Mac Minis as servers for specific things, server farms, whatever. Yeah. Anyway, I would think that people would want to use it because it just actually seems like it's. I mean, I don't know. I used to use PCs all the time, and it seems like the whole Mac thing is just way simpler. I don't understand why IT departments would want to use something more difficult, except that they're keeping their they know that Microsoft will always cater to them.
If it's a big enough company and they buy enough computers, then they can like make their demand to Microsoft, and Microsoft will have to listen to them. Those are like the financial whales that keep Microsoft afloat.
A lot of it has to do with control, isn't it? I mean, it's like keeping control of the devices from the making sure that they can lock them down, that kind of stuff.
It just made me flash back to like working at Wired and other places where it's like, oh, I need to change this one little thing on my computer. Okay, well, I can come down tomorrow afternoon at it's like the good old days quote of like working at a place where you have an IT staff that does all this stuff. I mean, do you remember that? Like, we're gonna have to shut down the newsroom Friday afternoon because everybody's gonna update to Windows 2.1 or what, I don't know what it was, but
well, the worst thing was making everyone use Lotus Notes.
Lotus Notes. Oh my god, yeah.
I refused to use it, actually. I was a rebel. But, you had to submit a ticket, and they'd be like, for something really, really stupid and simple, to get your password reset for your email or something like that. And it would take like a week.
Jesus.
And they were always so intransigent, the IT guys, weren't they? They would like, a couple of them were awful. I really did not like them at all.
I completely blotted this out of my memory. It's just like... it was just ridiculous. I just remember how it was like being in, some freaking, what was that movie? Brazil. That movie Brazil. It's like just crazy.
All right, so I think that wraps it up. That's all the CultCast we have for you this week. If you want more, you can follow Lewis on Twitter at Lewis Wallace. Griffin's on Mastodon at dgriffinjones, and I write the Cult Today newsletter, which you can find at newsletters.cultofmac.com. So send us a text link in the show notes, or use the link in the show notes, or make a comment on YouTube or in Discord. And please ask us some questions. We love to answer them. I like that last one. So this has been the CultCast, the best hour-long Apple conversation you're going to hear all week long. New episodes of the CultCast come out every week. I want to thank everyone for listening, for watching, and we'll see you next time. Have a great weekend, everybody.
Goodbye.
See ya. Send those Soro codes. Sora. Good God. Sora!
All right, see ya. Bye.
I feel freaking loopy, man.
Yeah, I feel a bit loopy too. Cool, well, I'll be interested to see how you fix that up.
I'm still amped up. That coffee is holding me over.
Excellent news.
Take this one. Well, the second watch, he kept on pressing the side button, trying to call, set the sign off or do an emergency alarm call.
I'm surprised you're wearing two on one wrist instead of one on each.
Well, I wanted to show them, because I didn't have the sleep score, because I didn't wear the 11 last night. Plus, I wanted to show the screen size, and I didn't have the sleep score. I was so obsessed with it. I got the sleep score on the, one of the widgets. But I had some things to say about that. I did a whole bunch of research on it about different